Shalom, shalom. Call Halayim La, Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua, Wa Mashana, Kabawat, Lahaza Quanium, Shaw, Great Millstone, Shalom, Wa Barakim, Wa Chasad, Laha, Bachaya, Shalom. Hey, so just going into, some of the Hebrew. This is Isaiah chapter 19, and we starting at verse 18. Well, verse 18, the point. It says, "And that day shall 5 cities in the land of Egypt speak the language of Canaan, and swear to the Lord of hosts. One shall be called the city of destruction." All right, so it says, "In that day, 5 cities shall, Salah, in that day shall 5 cities in the land of Egypt speak the language of Canaan," and the language of Canaan being the Paleo-Hebrew, Salah, which is the Lashon Kodash, the holy tongue. It says, "And swear to the Lord of hosts, one shall be called the city of destruction." All right, and the city of destruction going into Babylon the Great. All right. But going on. The point just, the Lord said he will return to the people a pure language. All right. We're going to get that right here. This is Zephaniah 3 and 9. We'll start at verse 8. It says, "Therefore wait ye upon me, saith the Lord." So the elect is going to wait on the Lord, because he's going to avenge his elect. It says, "Until the day that I rise up to the prey," and the prey being Esau, Edom, and the rest of the heathen, chiefly Esau, Edom. It says, "For my determination is to gather the nations." All right, and the Lord is gathering the nations to the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, for everything that they did to the children of Israel, the brutal slavery we went through, which we're still going through to this day. It says, "That I may assemble the kingdoms to pour upon them mine indignation." The Lord is angry. These heathen, headed with Esau, Edom, decided upon themselves to, break us up as a nation. And, we sinned against the Lord, so this is our punishment. But the Lord is going to judge Esau, Edom for everything that he's done, as well as the rest of the heathen. It says, "Even all my fierce anger," again, because the Lord is angry. It says, "For all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy." And the Lord likened the nation of Israel to a woman. So jealousy is the rage of a man. So the Lord is going to show his power, because these heathen mess with his woman, so to speak. It says, "For then will I turn the people a pure language, that they all call upon my name." Salah. "For then will I turn to the people a pure language, that they may all call upon the name of the Lord, to serve him with one consent." All right. So it says, "For then will I turn to the people a pure language." And you go into the word pure. If you just look at and you study the the Assyrian and the modern and the Yiddish, actually I'm gonna go to it. Let's go to it. If I got it pulled up. I don't think I got it pulled up. So let me see. So basically this guy, Eliezer ben Yehuda, pronounced Ezer ben Yehuda, born Eliezer Yitzhak Perlman, 1858 to 1922. It says, was the lexicographer of the first Hebrew dictionary, and the editor of Hazvi, one of the first newspapers in the land of Israel / Palestine. He was a driving force behind the revival of the Hebrew language. I'll go down some. Right here. So going back to this, it says, "For then will I turn to the people a pure language." All right. Let's see. pure definition, not mixed or adulterated with any other substance or material. So the Lord said he was going to return a pure language. All right. Going back, it says the language's revival eventually brought linguistic additions with it. So it came with more linguistic, and linguistics goes into let's go get the definition. Linguistics goes to the scientific study of language and its structure, including the study of morphology, syntax, phonetics, semantics. Specific branches of linguistics include sociolinguistics, dialectology, psycholinguistics, computational linguistics, historical comparative linguistics, and applied linguistics. So essentially just getting into the study of a language and how it's comprised, what it's made of. It says and semantics and phonetics, so just the study of the language. All right, and that going back to that definition or this article in Wikipedia, it said that it had linguistic additions to it. So that's not pure right there. It has additions to it. And we can get more in this little excerpt. It says, while the initial leaders of the process insisted they were only continuing from the place where the Hebrew's vitality was ended, what was created represented a broader basis of language acceptance. It includes characteristics derived from all periods of Hebrew language, as well as the non-Hebrew languages. So it has characteristics of other languages in it. This is talking about the gutter rat Hebrew. It says used by the long established European, North African, and Middle Eastern Jewish communities, with Yiddish being predominant. So it mainly has Yiddish in it, and the Yiddish. I'm just go to it, but Salat, give me a second. All right. Yeah, I can't find it, but nevertheless, I'm keep going. This is because you have I'm gonna actually go to it. They use the modern Hebrew alphabet, which was 600 BC. All right. And then around the Middle Ages, they started to add the Niku system, which is basically dotting and pointing, basically adding vowel sounds. All right. And I'm going to go to that as well. It says in Hebrew orthography, the Niku dotting, pointing, or Hebrew modern is a system of diacritical signs used to represent vowels or distinguish between alternative pronunciations of letters of the Hebrew alphabet. Several such diacritical systems were developed in the early Middle Ages. The most widespread system, and the only one still used to a significant degree today, was created by the Masoretes of Tiberias in the second half of the first millennium AD in the land of Israel. Masoretic text, Tiberian Hebrew text with Niku, is called Tiv Menu Quad or something like that. But yeah, they added in the dotting system. All right. But before that, it was just the characters themselves. And with those characters, the characters, let me see. Well, this is the modern right here. They call it a alphabet. All right. So this is the aleph or aleph. This is a bet. This is a Gamel, Dalet. They call that a Hey. They call that a Vav, and so on and so forth. But that's what they call them. But when you get the sounds of these actual characters, that's what they would be in the paleo. So if you take an aleph, the sound of it will be a ah. The bet will be a ba. The gimel will be a ga. So it's ah, ba, ga, da, ha, wa. There's no v's in the Hebrew. That'll be a wa, a za, cha. It's a tet. It's a ta. So let me see. Yeah, that would be a ta. A ta. That's a ya. Ka, la, ma, na, sa. And that they call it an ayin. That's where you get the because some of these characters actually are like what you could call a pictograph almost, to where like it's a word, it's a character, but it's also a word. So where you get ayin, that's where you get the word I from. That's where the word I comes from. All right, so that the ayin makes a I. All right, but moving on, it says that says pay, but it's actually pa. It says this one will be a taza. That's qua. That's ra. That's sha. And the ta will be a, let me see. That will be a th, you know. All right. So but yeah, this is the paleo. So you got a which it looks like a sideways. Ba looks like a sailboat. Ga, kind of like a 7. Da is a triangle. Ha is like a backwards, or no, just the number 7 with like 3 dashes. Wa, za is basically a Z. Cha is a ladder. Ta looks like the X-Men symbol. Ya is also like the wa is the looks like a wishbone almost. The ya is a looks like a Z with the extra line on it. Okay, and the ka is basically like a regular, like the letter K, but it's kind of turned probably like a 45-degree angle. All right, then la looks like a fish hook. Ma, na, basically like an N. Sa is a straight line with the 3 dashes going left to right. All right, then the I is just, it's a circle. Pa is almost like a alternative form of a 7. All right, taza is a straight line with the Z. All right, then qua is basically like a Q, but the line being straight down the middle. All right, then ra is it's a triangle. It's like a flag. All right, then sha is a W, and tha is just an X. All right, and if you was to read these, you read them from left to right, you know. And even in in the ancient days, they would take like a tablet, and then they'll take like a chisel, and then kind of like a mallet, and then write from right to left, or chip from right to left. All right. This is James Strong. He was actually one of the he's the creator of the Strong's Concordance. You know, a lot of times, you know, we'll go to the concordance and it'll give us the Assyrian script of the Hebrew. You know, but he was actually like I said, the creator of the Strong's Concordance. All right, let's see. This is Sirach 1:1. It reads, the prologue of the wisdom of Yahweh the son of Sirach says, whereas many and great things have been delivered unto us by the law and the prophets, and by others that followed their steps, for the which things Israel ought to be commended, and learning ought to be commended for learning and wisdom, and whereof not only the readers must needs become skillful themselves. We gotta become skillful, and reading the book, because if you go to the Old Testament and as well as the New Testament being written in the Greek, so you got to actually show diligence and study up on the words and stuff like that. It says, but also they that desire to learn be able to profit them which are without, both by speaking and writing. All right, it says my grandfather Yahweh Shah, when he had much given himself to the reading of the law and the prophets and the other books of our fathers, and had gotten therein good judgment. Salat, go back up. All right, it says, therein good judgment was drawn on also himself to write something pertaining to learning and wisdom to the intent that those which are desirous to learn and are addicted to these things might profit much more in living according to the law. It says, wherefore let me entreat you to read it with favor and attention, and to pardon us wherein we may seem to come short of some words. All right, so just in the translation, the meanings of some words, fall short of what they actually mean. Again, going back to the Hebrew and the Greek, so reading it in English, one might think, oh, well, I know this definition in English, so it means the same thing in Greek. Like, no, you have to show that diligence and put forth the extra, go the extra mile to get the definition of, the word. So an example would be the Greek word porneia, that goes into fornication, and it's several types of, or it's different categories into fornication. You got bestiality, you got bestiality, adultery, spiritual idolatry, and each of those is, I think it's like 4 or 5 of them, but each of those things goes into something different, So adultery is different for a man and a woman, so it's not the same as it is, in the English. So we have to show that diligence, that persistence to go and actually dig and see what it actually means in the different languages. All right, it says, for the same things uttered in Hebrew and translated into another tongue have not the same force in them. All right, so when we praying, it has more power in the Hebrew. The Lord still hears us, but it has more power, more force, saying it in its native tongue. It says, and not only these things, but the law itself and the prophets and the rest of the books have no small difference when they are spoken in their own language. All right. That was the point, but I'm going to keep going. It says, for in the 38th year coming into Egypt, when Eugrates was king and continuing there some time, I found a book of no small learning. Therefore, I thought it most necessary for me to bestow some diligence and travail to interpret it. And that goes into that diligence, the diligence and the travail, putting forth that work. It says, using great watchfulness and skill in that space to bring the book to an end and set it forth for them also which in a strange country are willing to learn, being prepared before in manners to live after the law. All wisdom cometh from the Lord and is with him forever. Hey, so we in that strange country now, We in that strange country now where, the Lord said that, going back to Zephaniah 3:9, where he would, bring back that pure language. All right. So, that pure language. And going back to the definition of pure, pure meaning unadulterated, unmixed. So when you get the Assyrian, it's mixed in with other different languages. So that's not the pure form. And one part for sure that's added in is that Niku System, the dotting and the pointing. You know, that adds in different vowels. The only vowels that are in the it's 22 consonants, you know, in the Hebrew. You know, only vowels that you can say in the English that are vowels in the Hebrew is the A and the I. All right. You know, they went and added which they call the alphabet. You know, they added like the tet, the mem, the nun. You know, all those characters are the characters, but the sound is actually how it's written in the English. All right. I did a little Google search. Let me see. So it says Augustine and the primeval language in early modern exegesis and philology, which I'm just extrapolating, but prime sounds like number one, so it's the first language. So it says, let's see. Just gonna skim through for a little bit. All right, so it says, in his influential work of the City of God, De Civitate De, Augustine identifies Hebrew as the original or primeval language of mankind. So you had it first. It says, and more accurately as the language that survived the confusion of languages at Babel in the Hebrew. That goes back to Genesis chapter 11. You know, it was only one language. All right. All the other languages didn't come until the Tower of Babel. All right. And that one language being the Hebrew. This is Genesis 11. It says, and the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. All right. And I'm starting from verse 6. It says, and the Lord said, well, I'll start from verse 2. It says, and it came to pass as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, Go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, Go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach into heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered. Be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they all have one language. All right, so going somewhere in the script, but basically it going to the Lord made man's ways diverse, you know, so we wasn't supposed to be one people. It says, and they have all one language, and this they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. It says, Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. All right, and that's where the different languages came about, you know. All right, and just a little bit more going into you know, the Hebrew being the first language. All right, this is the alphabet. It says an alphabet is a standardized set of basic written symbols or graphemes called letters that represent the phonemes of certain spoken languages. So see what phonemes is. It says the sound patterns are two separate words that are distinguished by one substitution of one phoneme. All right, no, that's not what I want. I'm going to keep going. It says, not all writing systems represent language in this way. In a syllabary, each character represents a syllable. For instance, logographic systems use characters to represent words, morphemes, or other semantic units. The first fully phonemic script, the Proto-Canaanite script, later known as the Phoenician alphabet, is considered to be the first alphabet and is the ancestor of modern alphabets, including Arabic, Cyrillic, Greek, Hebrew, Latin, and possibly Brahmic. All right, so the Phoenician, which we know is the Paleo, or the Phoenician came from the Paleo, the Lashawan Quadash, was the first alphabet. There was another point in here. I think it was in the phonemes. All right, yeah, so basically, I can't find it now, but basically, the alphabet helps to, it's involved with oh no, it says it was created by Shemitic, it says Semitic right there, but Shemitic speaking workers and slaves in the Sinai Peninsula. So basically, the alphabet came from Shemitic people, and that coming from the Paleo. All right, that's essentially what I was saying. The alphabet comes from it's involved with groups or different groups of people, cultures, languages. The alphabet has something to do with the linguistics because that's how you pronounce the different letters. It says the scientific study of language and its structure, including the study of morphology, syntax, phonetics. I'm actually going to some of these too. Syntax, speech. So syntax, speech, is when a language speaker exhibits not only a knowledge of the words, but an understanding of each word order that makes speech meaningful and understandable. So they understand what they're saying. Let's see what phonetics is. Phonetics is the study and the classification of speech sounds. All right. So yeah, that's good right there. So phonemes goes into how the word sounds. All right. So the alphabet has something to do with how the word sounds, and being that going into this, it said the Canaanite was the first alphabet, the Phoenician, which is the Paleo Hebrew. That was the first language. The Lord wasn't down here, or when he was creating everything, he wasn't speaking English. All right, even in the New Testament, the Lord was speaking the Paleo. Acts 26:14, it says, "And when we were all fallen to the earth, I heard a voice speaking unto me and saying in the Hebrew tongue, Saul, Saul, Why persecutest thou me? It is hard for thee to kick against the pricks. It says, I said, who art thou, Lord? And he said, I am. It says Jesus right here, whom thou persecutest, but it says in the Hebrew tongue, Jesus was with the letter J came out in 1524. You know, there's no E's or U's in the Hebrew. So it was Yahweh Shah. All right. And during that time, they were still using the paleo, you know, which it was still more languages out at that time, but they still knew the paleo back then, you know. So, hey, Lord willing, no Zedafon, call Halayim La, Yahweh Bashim, Al Shabbat, Shalom.